Provide me room and time to educate, a touch of truth about the ogre's path. This roughshod skin is but a surface strength, and blood and bile have ogres, same as man.
Until you in thy anger squeeze it out.
Thou hear it not, mark me. Here in my hand I hold the ogre.
'Tis an onion.
Aye, for in this bulb the ogre's truth is found.
In this I see thy reason, for this bulb will mock the eyes of those who cut it down, call forth their tears, and sicken them.
No, no.
Perhaps thy point is rather one of scent? That one foul odor share both beast and bulb.
You strike far from the mark.
Aye, now 'tis clear. When in the garish sun both are forgot, small whitish hairs shall sprout from both their scalps.
Contemptible disfigurement of sense, I speak of layers.
If you'd like to hear more, I have good news for you. I translated the entire script of Shrek into faux Elizabethan English, and I'm releasing it for free online. So, a bit of background. When the theater community shut down in 2020, I was lucky enough to get invited into a group of artists who passed the time by reading plays on Zoom. Beginning with Shakespeare's full canon, and then when they completed that, basically just any play they wanted to read. This group was, no exaggeration, my lifeline during a very dispiriting time, and as the group approached its one-year anniversary in March 2021, I wanted to do something special. Since the first reading within the group I took part in was of William Shakespeare's Star Wars by Ian Desher, I decided that I would create my own bespoke Shakespearean rewrite of a modern film for exclusive use within the group. That script became The Comical History of Shrek the Ogre, a full-length adaptation of the screenplay to DreamWorks' Shrek, turning it into the Elizabethan drama it was always meant to be. And this isn't just a joke script. This is a 5-act retranslation utilizing the syntax and language of Shakespeare's works, and including references to 25 of his plays, some obvious, some subtle. I did my best to go one step further than the film, revealing through monologues the innermost hopes and fears of the characters, which were unexpressed or only implied in the original text. It's a script that I think benefits from close reading, as the scenes are littered with small callbacks or linguistic tricks that reveal hidden truths about the world of the play. And I made an effort to describe the character Donkey almost exclusively with the word ass, as God intended. Response in the group was positive enough that I considered querying agents in an effort to get the script formally published. However, after sending it to a few, to little interest, I took an honest look at the situation and what I truly wanted out of it. The other full-length plays I've written, like Winnie the Pooh back in August, were made with the intention of eventually being workshopped, performed, and eventually published by a company like DPS or Samuel French. Not so with Shrek. It was made as a gift to thank a particular group of artists for their kindness shown to me. And so, if the choice is between waiting to be paid for the script while no one reads it, versus not being paid while allowing everyone to read it, my intentions with this play are much more aligned with the latter. I would get more joy from knowing that people are reading it rather than waiting for years in the hope that I would eventually be paid for it. Plus, releasing it this way also makes it much easier for people to perform it, which I know has always been an issue for Desher's scripts. To that end, I am releasing the full text for the comical history of Shrek the Ogre, and you can download the PDF at the link in the video description. I am releasing it royalty-free under a Creative Commons BYSA license, meaning you can do pretty much whatever you want with it so long as you credit me as the author and you release your own adaptation of it under the same license. Perform it, adjust it, rewrite parts of it, set the songs to music. Just be aware that I do not own Shrek, and while this is a transformative enough work to be covered by parody law, I would still double check the legality of performing it for profit if you choose to. I think you'll be clear, but it's in your hands now. If you're already hyped up and excited to read the story of Shrek as you never have before, you can click the link in the description to download the text now. You may notice that the version you download today, December 22nd, 2022, is labeled as Public Draft 1.0. I'm considering this more like a video game release and that I may return to the script and release updated versions with small tweaks and patches. It's a living document, is the point. So if you do anything with it, make sure you're working with the most updated version. If you still need some convincing, or you just really want to hear actors perform selections from this play, the rest of this video is going to be pointing out 6 of my favorite moments in the play, as well as 6 of my favorite individual lines of dialogue. I should also be clear, this is all just for fun. Like Desher, I am not a Shakespeare scholar, and this is not a work of Shakespeare scholarship. I am just a writer, familiar with the bard's works, who is very proud of how this dumb idea turned out, and I hope you'll share that joy with me. Okay, on to the moments.
An ogre I, reviled of the town, oft hunted, ever tortured sans repute, doth this not breed abhorrence?
Not an I.
Oh, I?
Nay, nay.
I, nay?
No, not I.
Oh,
Thou seeming gent, what is thy title?
Shrek.
This is the moment when Shrek, failing to scare Donkey away, realizes that Donkey is the first creature he's ever encountered who isn't immediately afraid of him. It's a destabilizing moment for Shrek, as evidenced by the short, broken-up lines here. However, the dialogue between the two forms a single line of perfect iambic pentameter, a parallel to Romeo and Juliet's first meeting forming a perfect sonnet, and similarly cementing the two as a duo for the remainder of the play.
The premier maiden, in my view, a serving girl of family few, her home far, far away resides, and there within the attic hides with mice and birds for retinue. Could she be fit to wife with you? Should you this winsome maiden claim, hark, Cinderella is her name.
For the magic mirror talking to Farquaad, rather than the game show of the original version, here the dialogue switches to rhyming couplets of iambic tetrameter, to mimic the feeling of a spell being cast or a curse being recited. This is the same meter that Puck uses at the end of Midsummer. Alright, that's not entirely correct. Puck is speaking at the end of the play in trochaic tetrameter, not iambic tetrameter. It's the same length, but the rhythm is different, where the emphasis is. I just know that if I didn't point that out, I was going to get comments about it. Alright, now back to the video. I'm very proud that each description of the three princesses is exactly 8 lines long, but contains all the relevant information from the film, including the prerequisite Pina Colada song reference, plus a subtle reference to Disneyland's Snow White ride.
You are not in the right. This is not how it goes. Are you sure that you... Wait, why do you run away?
Thou hast a foot. Make haste to safety's call. I'll with thee straight. I have my ass to save.
What kind of knight art thou, of misled mind?
Like none so common, miss. One of a kind.
When Fiona first wakes up, she speaks not in iambic pentameter, but in anapestic tetrameter, which you may be aware of from the works of Dr. Seuss. To me, it sounded more galloping, more sing-song than traditional pentameter, which jars effectively against Shrek, who maintains the same meter during his conversation with her. These lines come at the end of the scene, at the moment when Fiona's dream of Prince Charming formally dies, and so she switches to iambic pentameter, like everyone else. Farquaad, incidentally, speaks in lines of 11 syllables, of 4 iambs and an amphibrach. An extra beat, because he's compensating, and also it gives his lines weak endings.
If I may haul the ox cart further still, another seeming false lesson I raise. If one by chance should meet their love and fear, for love may more than burn, but scorch and broil, should thou the same decisive air maintain? Where may thy lack of certainty arise?
This is an example of a small motivational change from the film to this script. In the film, the statement Donkey is making is a coded question, asking how best to let the dragon know that he's not into her. In the rewrite, this line is given greater ambiguity, allowing the actor to choose, in performance, whether the line is referring to Donkey or Dragon, as the one at the center. Perhaps in this version, Donkey is already feeling love for Dragon, but having trouble expressing it.
What quarrel have you with all?
Quarrel? No, I hold no peak, no quarrel, I. No, it is the grudging world that evermore with their vile terms build stone on stone my wall. In just a moment's glance outspits the cry, "Oh, Jesus, saints protect us from this wretch, this olive savage, villain of the swamp. Shall we his senseless torment now evade?" In this way bank the seasons and the years, the ever piling on of stones. Why then would thou protest my working in my turn to add the stones myself? 'Tis their desire.
The use of the build-a-wall metaphor for keeping the world away is already a notable theme in Shrek, but here it's given greater impact through metaphor. Rather than accusing the townsfolk of, quote, judging him before they know him, Shrek accuses them of building the wall around him, which perfectly suits what Shrek is doing in this moment, projecting responsibility for his own isolation onto other people, not himself. Incidentally, when Donkey calls Shrek out for doing this in the Act 5 scene before they fly back to Duloc for the wedding, Donkey returns to this wall as emotional block metaphor, hurling it at Shrek and forcing him to confront it.
An ogre is to fright and not to woo. My callous hand too hard to pair with skin, as soft as down, as luminous as sky. My fury mind too blake to pair with one as sharp as tack, as labyrinthine as web. My wicked eye too lewd to pair with gaze as warm as flint, as judicious as love. My ogre heart too boorish to receive any such link with her. Thus is my hell.
This monologue, for the moment when Shrek stands at the flower and considers confessing his love to Fiona, the moment that became When Words Fail in the musical, is the monologue I am the most proud of in the entire play. Shrek, who has spent his entire life casting himself as the villain and internalizing the world's hatred of himself to the point that it became armor, now has to shed that armor in an instant, trusting that Fiona will reciprocate. While in the film and the musical, it's a moment of stumbling, here he gets to honestly confront his own feelings of inadequacy and make the decision to push forward anyway. To cast aside his doubt and to begin the hard work of proving to himself that he is more than just the surface he presents to the world. The anaphora of my callous hand too hard, my fury mind too bleak, my wicked eye too lewd, all builds to him making a startling admission of love, only to be struck down by overhearing Fiona. And now, 6 direct translations of lines from the film, some of which you may remember.
She was really great back then, man. Those guards, they thought they was all of that. Then you showed up and bam, they was tripping over themselves like babes in the woods.
I still recall the minute only moments passed wherein you did affright those steely-seeming guards, whose countenance was nothing more than foam upon the ocean of their cowardice.
You're a girl dragon. Oh, sure. I mean, of course you're a girl dragon, 'cause you're just reeking of feminine beauty.
What meaning here? An eyelash I espy? Art thou a distaff dragon? By my life, 'tis clear to all in truth, who dares not know, clear is thy beauty, and thy deft allure.
But wait, Sir Knight, this beeth our first meeting. Should it not be a wonderful, romantic moment?
Yeah. Sorry, lady. There's no time.
Wait!
Oh, lover, charmer, so bold have thou been. Come, lift thy hood, so thy face may be seen.
There's honey in thy tongue. Away we fly before the hornets come to repossess.
There's nothing to tell. Besides, even if I did tell her that, well, you know, and I'm not saying I do, 'cause I don't.
My heart I spake, and in it none of love. If it were done when 'tis done, and it won't, for nothing 'tis. And I said nothing of what isn't, for it shall not be. 'Tis true.
Man, that ain't nothing but a bunch of little dots.
You know, Donkey, sometimes things are more than they appear.
What image see thou in the inky sphere? My eye sees naught but starlight in its points.
The ogre says with eye as with a soul. Have you a soul, oh ass? Unearth it here, and on a shadowed hollow night like this, you'll find companionship in the abyss.
And the one I'm most pleased with because it's subtle.
We'll just tackle this thing together, one little baby step at a time.
Really?
Really.
Be steely-hearted. Hoof by hoof we walk, and at thy rear I'll follow in support.
Thou speakest true?
I'll double up the word.
Again, you can download the complete script of the comical history of Shrek the Ogre at the link in the description. If you do perform anything from the script, obviously you don't need my permission, but I would love to hear about it, and thank you in advance. Until then, enjoy the script, and fare thee well.